Dear brothers and sisters, and distinguished guests, I'm honored to stand before you, being from Birmingham, Alabama, local 2115 and president. I'm an African-American male, and in the video, many of you don't know and don't realize that Nat LaCour in New Orleans, AFT in 1956, took a stand that nobody else took to integrate their locals. And Nat LaCour was the first president when the black and white teachers of New Orleans formed together. I want to thank Nat LaCour because I know I wouldn't be standing here today if it wasn't for him and the New Orleans teachers. The makeup of our locals is a confirmation today of how AFT and our country has progressed. But we all know we still have work to do. This morning, I'm going to touch on the past, the present, and the future. I want to start first by thanking Dr. Loretta Johnson. It was Dr. Loretta Johnson who fearlessly came to us and said we need a racial task force, in which I served on. This task force was about African-American males, and I also had an opportunity to travel to Lafayette and Denmark with Dr. Johnson on a Forum of Education Symposium on human rights. We have a tough challenge that we're faced with. I was inspired in Lafayette because that nation has only been free for 50 years, and the civil rights movement is what inspired them to become a free nation. This racial task force inspired me to also go back and do something, not talk about it. That's why I started a mentoring program for young African-American males in Birmingham. It was tough and hard because I had to tell the realities of my life to these young men. But I also went a step further. I used First Books and National AFT resources to bring black authors, black books to the black males so they could see positive role models in their books, not just reading any books. Brothers and sisters and guests, this is a tough speech for me today because Philando was killed. And as I watched the video, I began to think about how many times I've been pulled over by police officers in my life, and I've lost count. The last time that I was pulled over, my family was in the car, my wife and my kids. And the officer pulled us over and he said, "Do you have any guns or drugs in the car?" Title doesn't matter. We need to stop making excuses in this country when these things happen. During the past 30 days in this country, if my story didn't touch you, look at what's happened. In Philando, they were killed. In Baton Rouge, he was killed. In Minnesota, he was killed. And in Dallas, they were killed. It doesn't matter whether they're police officers or whether they're African-American males. It's the very fabric of our country what we must stand for. We cannot stand for these senseless murders because of fear. It is fear that divides us, and we must have hope and faith, and we must not just sit back and not fight. Brothers and sisters and distinguished guests, we cannot fight this battle alone. Our fight for human and civil rights isn't an easy one, and it isn't something that we can do alone. We need brave, bold legislators that are willing to stand with us. We cannot continue just to elect people just to elect them. We have a good friend of mine because I follow him on a podcast on SoundCloud. And he just happens to be from Minnesota, and he's a Congressman, Representative Keith Ellison. Representative Ellison has stood and worked on the principles of generosity and inclusion for working families, promoting peace, pursuing environmental sustainability, and advancing civil and human rights. He's also blazed a trail, being the first elected Muslim member of Congress. Just a couple of weeks ago, we as a nation got a chance to see his courage as a Muslim, as an American, following the horrific shooting in Orlando. Representative Ellison and his colleagues, they staged sit-ins about the gun laws in this country. In this room, there is people that believe in gun rights. But I want to leave you a thought before I turn it over to the congressman. In our country, there are states where assault rifles cannot be used to hunt. That is the law. So I leave with you the question, why, if it's against the law to use it on animals, why are we letting the other side divide us in shooting of human beings? I could go on and on, but I want to turn it over to a good friend of mine. He's an ally, he's a brother. I'm a Christian, he's a Muslim. We have to stand together in this movement to reclaim the promise of America, and he's a true inspiration to me and to AFT. I welcome Representative Keith Ellison.